The surprising roots of New Age spirituality. We are the most highly informed and sophisticated society in history and are currently in the midst of a high-tech explosion beyond anyone's wildest imagination only a few years ago. Yet at the same time, increasing millions in the West are buying into yoga, an occult practice that has been part of primitive Oriental superstitions and religions for thousands of years. Why is this happening? Finding an answer to that question will give us a good start toward understanding what yoga really is, why it is so appealing, and the havoc it is wreaking upon our culture. Though it may come as a surprise, the fact is that the explosion of occultism in the West, of which yoga is an integral part, did not come about by accident. This growing obsession was deliberately planted and cultivated by a group of psychologists and physical scientists, many of whom had, as university students, their first encounters with the mysterious powers of the occult and came to believe in the reality of a non-physical dimension through their use of psychedelic drugs. The major drug of what became known as the counterculture, lysergic acid diethylamide, LSD, a once legal but now illegal substance commonly called acid by its users. It was developed in 1943 by Albert Hofmann, a chemist at the Swiss pharmaceutical company Sandoz AB. Quote, consciousness, end quote, became a primary focus, and soon the phrase alternate states of consciousness was on the lips of millions. How to reach alternate states became the exciting topic at parties and was the new panacea. Few even suspected that they had stumbled onto the doorway to the occult, much less the horrors that lay beyond. Of course, the world of academia, closed-minded to anything except materialistic explanations, spoke of an alternate reality as though it were a newly discovered unused corner of the physical brain that held amazing potential and must be studied in university labs. The human potential movement was born. Mankind's supposedly unlimited and untapped powers became the new hope of the modern world, bolstered by the psychologist's ridiculous claim that we use only 10% of our brains. In that unused 90%, godlike psychic powers supposedly lie, awaiting discovery. Ironically, wrote Marilyn Ferguson in a key book of this era, the introduction of major psychedelics like LSD in the 1960s was largely attributable to the Central Intelligence Agency's investigation into these drugs for possible military use. Experiments on more than 80 college campuses under various CIA code names unintentionally popularized LSD. Thousands of graduate students served as guinea pigs. Soon they were synthesizing their own acid. Unintentionally? On the contrary, this devilish development was anything but unintentional, as Ferguson well knew. It was, as we shall see, part of a deliberate and highly secretive plan to initiate the Western world into Eastern occultism, of which the introduction of drugs to American youth played a major part. Under the influence of psychedelics, millions discovered another dimension of reality that surely was not physical. But as long as the trip lasted, the adventure was as real as the physical universe, or seemingly even more real. It only remained to be discovered that yoga would produce the same trip without drugs, and yoga took off as the new panacea. I remember the mother of a 20-year-old telling me with some sense of relief and little concern, quote, our son used to be heavily into drugs, but thank God he isn't using drugs anymore because he started practicing yoga. I don't know what yoga is, but it can't be bad if it got him off of drugs, end quote. My reply must have shocked her. I'm glad to hear that your son no longer gets high on drugs. I'm sorry to inform you, however, that he can get a lot higher on yoga than on drugs. Drugs were the kindergarten of occultism. Yoga is the graduate school.